Okay, I think we might be live. We'll find out momentarily. We're trying live stream number 2. Today I'm going to be showing off some of the EK water block stuff that we just got in. And I have to do a bunch of stuff anyway, so I have to tear down a Vega card and reclaim some stuff from it. I have to tear down a 1080 Ti for a project and then put stuff back together. So that's what we're working on today. Stuff I'm doing anyway. Thought we'd do a stream and basically a Q&A plus work log. So if you have questions, send them through to chat. We've got 2 moderators in here who will be checking in from time to time. Otherwise, I'll be trying to keep an eye on chat myself. So, okay, stream is working, I'm being told. Okay, good. We're off to a good start. Let me get this link shared out to Twitter, and then we will start off with the new EK baby's first open loop that they sent us. Live stream is live. Okay, all right. So everyone knows. Those of you on Discord, if you are a Patreon backer and support us on Patreon, you can go to the Discord chat where we've got, I hang out there. Otherwise, this episode is brought to you by our new shirts. So this one is covered in snowflake fur. It does not come with that. You need to, cat sold separately. The shirts are on gamersnexus.squarespace.com if you are interested in them. And we've got teal and gray. And in addition to the teal and gray, we have the tri-blends and the cotton. So that's what's brought to you for the episode today. And everyone seems to be indicating that the stream is working. So awesome. All right. So we're going to start with finishing off this open loop I've started. This is, like I said, this is the new EK setup. What is this even called? This is like the Fluid Gaming, that's it. So this is their entry-level open loop. It's supposed to compete with the closed loop liquid coolers, the CLCs, the AIOs, as some people call them. This is the first one I've set up. So I've done like hardline tube bending before, but I haven't actually done any real open loop work. We've just never needed to, and we've really specialized in testing other things. So this is the first time working with something like it. It was pretty easy to set up. I haven't tested it yet. We haven't filled it yet, but the tubes, they give you one big tube to cut, so you cut that. They give you the fittings, the barbs, the plate, and radiator is not filled or anything, so this is actually empty. And then you just route everything, hook it all up, and fill the loop from there. So that's something I need to work on. We need to fill it, and filling it is going to require their cooling solution, which comes in the box, and then distilled water. So we're going to do that today. And I'm just keeping an eye on chat a little bit as well. So this is the solution. They call it EK Cryo Fuel. We're going to be mixing that in with distilled water, and I think they want 100 milliliters of this, and then let's see the instructions they give. I'm trying to follow their instructions to the T because I want to see if it's easy to follow as a real user, as someone doing this first time. So pretty accurate from that perspective. 100 milliliters of this, 900 milliliters of distilled water. We have enough of each of those. Comes with their Vardar fans, and then we're also going to be testing these fans on an NZXT cooler and testing NZXT fans on their cooler to see, is an open loop actually just better? And unless the pump is something special or the coolant is something special, you would expect probably for these 2 products, the answer might be no, but we'll find out. Very curious about that. All right, so any good questions to start us off here? The motherboard looks bent. I don't know, it might be a little tweaked. Not really. Oh, it's just not, it's not just, there you go. Okay, problem solved. It's a test bench. What do you want from me? All right, so I think, let's look at the other kit they gave me and then fill it. This is the other kit. It's a bit larger. We have a lot of cool plans for this stuff because the thing is, these come with GPU blocks as well, and then we have a couple of GPU blocks. We've never reviewed open loop components. This is upside down. Good start. And so what I want to show going forward is take some of our thermal testing methodology and apply it to the open loop stuff to see if different full coverage blocks perform better than others. We can measure the FET temperatures, the VRAM temperatures, stuff that you don't normally see, and really get an idea of how the performance is across the entire board, not just the GPU, because GPU temperatures are really kind of not the most important thing once you're performing well anyway. So this is the tubing they give you. You have to cut it, you kind of mark it at the length you want, cut it with scissors, and just route it over the barbs. Here's what the block looks like, and it does have the, I don't know if that's a nickel-plated copper, or actually I think this is an all aluminum loop, isn't it? Where's the marking? To be used with other aluminum parts only. Yeah, so this is 100% aluminum everything in this one. So there's no copper for the cold plate because they don't want galvanic corrosion. What else is, what's up with the keyboard backlight? I don't know, is it flickering or something? That's probably just the camera refresh. Is it flickering? It's probably a camera refresh. The next one to look at is, we've got the barb and the fitting here. So I've already attached all this stuff, and we're just using the smaller version of this. We're starting with the, what is this, a 240 kit, and then we'll be going to this kit later, which is for the GPUs and things like that as well. So that'll be fun to test, but stuff we're working on. Is water cooling a good option for an area that regularly hovers around 90 Fahrenheit? I don't, oh, you mean like your ambient temperature? I know that it can only cool to the room's ambient temperature. That is, I mean, yeah. Unless you do some kind of exotic cooling, you just physically can't get below ambient. So, is your room ambient really 90 Fahrenheit? That's awfully high. If that's true, then you're just gonna be limited no matter what by that. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. A closed loop would probably do fine as well. We'll find out for you. I haven't really tested this yet. Okay, so like I said, I haven't done this before. We're gonna just follow. I'm on at the end of the instructions already. So we're on this step here where we're doing preparing the cooling step, and that requires the coolant or the mixture for the coolant and the distilled water, which we have, and then we need to mix it up, which I'm just gonna use this to stir it, which is I don't know, a bracket for a liquid cooler or something. So what does this say we need? This says we need, coolant comes in concentrated form. To prepare the liquid cooling, you must take a 100 milliliter clear coolant concentrate, which is enclosed, that's this, with 900 milliliters of distilled water, mixed properly before pouring it into the loop. So, like I said, if you want your real expertise with open loops, I'm sure Jay or any of them have you covered. If you're new to open loops and you want to see what the process looks like from the perspective of someone who has worked a lot with components, but not with open loops, then you've tuned into the right part of the channel, I guess. But everything I do here may not be 100% correct, so keep that in mind as well. We have, what is this? What does this go to? 500 milliliters? Okay. And we need about we need 1,000 total, so we'll fill this twice. So we're gonna do half of each. So we'll do 50 milliliters of coolant and then 450 of distilled water, and that'll get us up to 500. Then we'll mix that, and then we'll pour it into the actual loop, which, let me just open the reservoir now. So the reservoir is already attached over here, and it's a pump and reservoir combo. I think you just, my hands have distilled water on them. I think you just twist it. Okay, cool. So easy enough, just a threaded cap. And got the EK logo in there. I don't know if that lights up or anything, but I'd be shocked if it doesn't at this point. Does the loop work with Gatorade? You could, yes, you could put Gatorade in there. Probably wouldn't be good for anything. Didn't Jay do some kind of test like that? I think they did some kind of test like that. All right. I don't think it matters what we do first. Let's just go with the one we have the most of. So we're going up to 450. Is that about 450? That looks like about 450. A little more. Welcome to the Gamers Nexus cooking show. So 450 there. And now we need 50 of the other stuff, and then we'll do that again to fill the loop the rest of the way. I'm expecting you to Sharpie on the Pyrex thing. You know, I actually did want to write no food on there. There's not a Sharpie near me. I forgot to do that before the show. Jay did test Gatorade, I'm being told. All right. So let's see. Stream is stalling a bit. One person says, is anyone else getting a stream stall? What, do we need to like, let me just read this just to see what it says. So EKA proven formula, blah, 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 marketing text. Mixing ratio for best performance confirms what we already know. 1 to 9 mixing ratio. Shake before use. All right, so we need to do that. Anyone curious about ingredients? Synergistic corrosion inhibitors, water-based dyes, scale, and biological inhibitors. So a biocide is in there, which makes sense. Don't feed this to your unborn child. Okay. Stream is good here. The stream is perfect. Okay. So I'm seeing most people saying that the stream is good. Plop it in and then shake. Yeah, you know, that makes sense too. But I've got a stir with me. I'm not 100% positive if that's actually a necessary step. But whatever. We'll just play it safe. Stop shaking. What are we going up to? 500. We're going up to 500 with this, which should be about half the container, I think. Okay. Anyone who has done this before in chat, I want to know from you, do I stir it at this point? EK indicates that you should mix the mixture properly before pouring it into the reservoir, which leads me to believe that I should stir it. What's encoding the stream? An i9-7900X is encoding the stream because it's next to this table, and that was the easiest to use. Waiting on chat to catch up for the answers. Is mayo a coolant? Probably not a good one. All right, so yes, lightly stir. Yes, I have this kit. I think, okay, I'm not gonna test toothpaste. You can stir it, yes. All right, so let's go ahead and stir it. I appreciate the chat insight on this. Like I said, I'm not afraid to admit that this is the first time I'm working with any kind of open loop. It looks like it's pretty much already all dispersed and mixed together, so I don't know that we need to do much more there. Does Ryzen 1700 close the FPS gap to Intel at 4K? Well, 4K becomes a GPU test, becomes a GPU bottleneck, so as long as your GPU sustains 4K, really they should be more or less the same. Actually, we did test them at 1440p, and Ryzen was only a couple FPS behind at launch, and might be tied now that the memory is a bit better. Let me mute this phone. So yes, I think that answers that question. If you stick a small heatsink up to a Peltier cooler and dip it into the reservoir of a loop, would it result in a cooler water temperature? Dip it into the reservoir. I mean, I guess if you're applying anything that's lower than ambient to your cooling solution, then it should drop below ambient. It's just a matter of how much volume is there versus the whatever solution you're using. Thinking of doing an open loop myself, so glad you're doing the stream. Glad to hear, David, thank you for the donation. And does tubing diameter matter? Why or why not? You know, like I said, I'm new to this very specific aspect of the cooling world, so I can't answer that, but maybe some folks in chat can. That's the kind of thing, this is why I'm excited about this, because going forward, the more we get to work with this open loop stuff, there are all kinds of questions like that that I really want to answer myself, and that will include a lot of testing. So as part of that process, I'm really looking forward to testing things like tubing diameter, testing things like different blocks or full coverage blocks versus one another, and getting an idea of different parameters of cooling and what matters and what doesn't, because we haven't had a chance to play with it. There's not a lot of testing out there for some of that more specific stuff, so really looking forward to it. First gen live stream. Second one, actually. So the first one we dismantled a Cooler Master cooler. Okay, so yeah, drop some water onto the bench, doesn't matter. So at this point, we've pretty much filled this. What's the next step? Do we need to like turn it on and do a leak test? I can do that without powering the board, so there's no risk. Let's see. So step 2, remove the top cover. We did that. Take the pre-mixed coolant and pour it into the reservoir until the coolant level is about 2 centimeters below the top. I should have read that part first, but I think we just so happen to be about that part anyway. Check again if you have plugged in the EK bridging plug and cable pump testing adapters correctly. Yes, we know how to do that, I think. And then do the leak testing procedure. Paper towels on top of and around your gear just in case. Yeah, not a bad idea. Okay, so where's their leak testing procedure? Let's just follow their procedure. I'm thinking power the power supply, plug it into the pump, and let it go. That's what I'm thinking is the leak testing procedure. But let's just do exactly what they say to get a better idea of EK's approach to this. What page does it say it's on? It's on page 24. Oh, is that over here? Oh no, we already did that. Okay, cool. Leak testing procedures right there. Put the cap on. Yeah, I'll do that in a moment. Okay, disconnect power supply. We've already done that. This is not connected to a functioning system right now. Requires the pump to be connected to power supply. Everything else needs to be disconnected. Yep, got that. Plug the bridging plug enclosed to your 24-pin cable. Okay, I mean that's just a glorified paper clip is what that is, so we've done that. And what's next? Connect the power supply cable. Okay, yeah, so we're just powering it. So we're doing basically what I was saying. Mandatory to do the following. Unplug the pump 4-pin PWM connector from the motherboard fan header if already installed. Okay, we have not installed that. Plug the 4-pin into the 3-pin fan connector enclosed in the EK kit. All right. Any other important things here? Don't forget to add more coolant. You just added half. Yes. Right. I'm with you. Okay. You know, there was another interesting question in chat, which is how much does the coolant matter? And that's another one of the things I'm really excited about getting into testing, because once we have some good open loop stuff set up and going and really working, we can look at that kind of thing, see does it actually make a noticeable difference. Now there are a million variables for thermals. It's always a huge problem, but that's okay. You know, you do the best you can within the space you're working in, for the audience you're targeting. You do the best to appeal to those specific user needs. You declare the shortcomings of the testing methodology, you declare the possible caveats, and then you do your best with testing. So even though there are a lot of different variables, I think we can do a good job of at least getting some questions out of the way. You know, if this leaks, it's no big deal. Just go down to the floor. We're going to move the power cable out of the way, though, so none of those get liquid in them. So that would be suboptimal. Oh, for anyone who is not aware of this step, so this is not special to liquid cooling. This is what they ship as a bridge kit, they're calling it, and you can buy these too. If you ever wonder about these, all it's doing is bridging 2 cables. It's the same on every power supply, and it's to jump your PSU. So this is a cool trick for troubleshooting if you don't know already. What you do is you locate the, where is it? The green, let me get this kind of visible. You locate the green cable, which is over here, and any black ground cable, and then you just bridge them with a paper clip. And as long as you do that, the power supply will turn on. Now, it doesn't always. Sometimes it needs a bit of a load, which you can achieve with a solid-state drive or, better yet, a fan. And that'll put enough load on it to get most of those to turn on. This kit just makes it easy for you, holds it in place, so it's not going to move around. Definitely not necessary. Yeah, you could just use a paper clip, like I said. So run the pump for a second, then fill again. Okay, got it. Let's try that. So our pump is hooked up over here. We're not using the EK plug, but it shouldn't really matter. It's just power is power. So we're going down here to the power supply. Power supply is now on. Let me just cut the power straight away just to make sure nothing crazy is happening. Okay. All right, so that looks okay. We do need more liquid in there. You know what, so this power supply has a long kind of shutdown period. It's still spinning. Like the fan's spinning, there's no power going through it. So we are going to let that stop. Okay, it stopped. Let's get the rest of this in there. So this is only half the solution, keep in mind. Okay. Okay, I'm just checking chat again while we kind of wait for that for a moment. Keep it on and add water fast but carefully. Okay. Yes, that pump did seem fast. You don't have to cap it. Yeah, if that makes sense, as long as it's not going to spew water out, which it's not a blender, it's a pump, so I guess it shouldn't do that. Let me just monitor it. Let's see how the pump behaves. It is in fact not spewing water everywhere. All right. Sounds like a dentist's office. I'm not going to turn this board on. I mean, we're going to wait. If there's any liquid anywhere, we're going to wait a good while. As long as there's no power to the board, it's not going to get hurt. So, okay, it's looking good. We're still only half of the. It is shooting some liquid out the top, but like I said, pump's not going to, board's not going to be turned on today. So, let's just kind of put that right there for a minute. And I'm just gonna leave that unscrewed in for now. No, don't close it. Yes, that res is annoying. No, 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 no. Okay. We have a couple of these kits, by the way, so should be good to go on everything. Is this the aluminum kit? Yes, this is the aluminum kit. Everything in here is aluminum. All right, so leave that like that. Let's see, any leakage on the radiator? No. No leakage on the radiator. No leakage on the block. You have trapped at the top of the rad. What motherboard is that? It is an X99 EVGA board. Now you just need to tilt it and try to get the air out of the radiator. Okay. Just let it bleed. Got it. Okay. So it sounds like at this point it needs to sit. Radiator needs to be turned upside down, remove all the bubbles inside that is getting caught, else you will not be able to get it filled 100% and the performance will be bad. Okay, so it sounds like the consensus is to remove the radiator, which I'm curious if they mentioned, let's see if they mentioned that in here. Power supply and coolant pushed from the reservoir to the water cooling components. You have to fill the coolant continuously while it's going. When the coolant level becomes steady, which is where we are right now, fill the reservoir so that the coolant level is about 2 centimeters below the edge. Screw the top back on clockwise direction. Shake and tilt the chassis to remove any possible air trapped in the radiator. you may need to add more coolant. So they do actually mention it. Okay, cool. So let me just check chat, see what other suggestions there are. Flick the tubes to move the bubbles along. Yeah, that seems like a good idea. Okay, well, let's give that a try first. Unless it's just like a trick to make you look stupid on stream. You can actually see the air bubbles coming through there. That's pretty cool. Okay, cool. So it does appear to be actually helping. You know, I didn't have enough faith in you all. I thought it was just going to be, can we make them look stupid? But it is actually moving the air bubbles along. You can see that, right? And we could tilt the radiator as well, it sounds like, which would require dismounting it and would make me a little, make me have to close stuff back up. Yeah, so, hey, why don't you ever do open loops? I've just never needed to. You know, we specialize on things like testing GPUs, CPUs. I do a lot of thermals, but never with an open loop, so it's new to me. Pretty cool, though. I am going to try and tilt the radiator without spilling coolant everywhere. So let's dismount the radiator. I'm going to go ahead and cap this just for a minute before chat freaks out. It should still bleed air even if it's capped because there's space at the top of the reservoir, but I'd rather do this than spill stuff everywhere. So and then I'll uncap it once I've got the screws out of here and I know it's not going to just pull the radiator or the reservoir over. Okay. All right, so I think we're good. Okay. There's a bunch of air, okay. Okay. Throw the rat in a 5-gallon bucket of ice water. Not right now. All right, so I guess we're in the bleeding process here. According to EK's instructions, we do need, well, I don't know actually. They did say put the extra back into a closed container, so we might not actually need any more of this. But for those experienced with open loops, go ahead, let me know. Hey Steve, no, okay, not reading that. There we go, there's a bunch of air. So let me know, how long do you normally allow this thing to bleed? Is this like a few hours, leave it alone process, or is it quicker than that? Is the pump loud? It sounds loud on stream. I think a lot of that sound you're hearing is from the power supply. The pump is definitely making some noise, but it probably, I mean, you can't really judge audio from what you hear on the stream because my mic is like right next to it, so it's going to sound louder than in reality. Till about 45-degree angle. Smack the radiator edges, it'll bleed better. Okay. How much time behind is YouTube streaming? You know, I'm not sure the answer to that. Not too long. Okay, 45. And let's just... There's some air coming out. Okay, cool. Bleed for 2 minutes, turn at 180 degrees every 10 seconds. During the 2-minute process, I bleed for a few hours, then open the cover of the res to vent the pressure. That makes sense. Close reservoir, shake rad a little bit. Okay, let's do that. Just kind of sit that right there. 45 to 60 years to bleed. Little, are we talking like existentially or stats render? Oh, 30 seconds delay on YouTube. Okay, good to know. Okay, cool. There's a bunch of air. So I think the rest of the solution is going to be excess. We can pour some more in while the tubes are upwards. That also makes sense because then your air goes up to the top. Okay, cool. Cool. Everyone's gonna be like, why are you smashing it? But the mic makes it sound a lot worse than it is. Is the EK Fluid Gaming 240G with NVIDIA 10 series block? The one I have on the floor next to me came with a 10 series block, yes. I think they have an AMD block as well. And we got the 10 series one just because we have some plans for testing with it. Okay. Reservoir higher than the rest of the loop, yeah. Bleed kind of almost done. Leak test is now the lawn part. Okay. Yeah, radiator testing would be fun. I agree. That's part of why I'm doing this, because I need to learn the process first, and once we've got everything, once I know what I'm doing with this stuff, we can start doing some really cool tests. But you have to know your weak spots and knowledge, and mine with this are going to be open loops and power supply testing, so I'm okay with learning it. Yes, aluminum. Make sure the water line of the res is higher than everything else. In the loop, I suppose you mean, right? Will bleed on its own either way over the first hour. Little to no air in the pump. Top off as needed. Okay, so I'm gonna, unless there's a strong reason not to, I'm gonna remount this back to our radiator mounting pole. Otherwise, I can just kind of sit it down over here. Well, I guess that's okay. I'll leave it there. That achieves the reservoir being higher aspect. Okay, what is everyone saying about that decision? Is this the first time Steve is doing water cooling? For open loop, yes. For those just tuning in, this is the first time I'm doing open loop. Like I said, we're okay with learning it publicly, because going forward it really opens a lot of doors for us for testing, really cool stuff I want to do with thermals. It's going to take some time to get there as I learn about open loops, but we know enough people in the industry to help out on the way. You're good, Steve. Mount it. Okay, well, I really appreciate that. I recognize that username. Jominator. I recognize that one from comments. Appreciate the oversight. Let's get this mounted and then move on to the next project while it does whatever it needs to do. And then people experienced with this stuff, feel free to let me know when I need to do something else. But otherwise, it looks like we're just keeping an eye on the water levels at this point and the leak testing. I think we should be leak-free, but we'll see. Computer's not again, those of you just tuning in, the system on the bench is not powered. We are only powering the pump. This will prevent any serious destruction of components in the event that there is a leak. Allows us to see, just focus on the loop, basically. So we're just focusing on the loop right now. We'll worry about the system once it's time to worry about the system. Just gonna kind of little cockeyed. Okay. All right, cool. Okay, so what? Leave it like that for now. Love your videos. Keep it up. Thank you, Maddie Johnson, for the donation. Much appreciated. Need to be sure you are leak-free. Yes, do not worry. I am going to be running it all night. I'll put some paper towels out around it and things. As any remaining air bleeds, you'll see the water levels in the res drop. Add as necessary to keep the pump wet. Yep. Sounds good. Okay. All right. The res doesn't have to be the highest. The bubbles will either settle at the top or they'll be sucked into the pump and go through another lap. Yes, I follow you. Okay, so at this point we're at a lot of things that I'm familiar with from closed loops. So, was there anything else I needed to do with this right now? Oh yeah, right. I'm gonna put a couple of these out just to keep an eye on, just so I can look at them and see if they've gotten wet when we check it later. See if there's any leakage. Okay, leave that there. This will just cover this side. Nothing should really be coming out of there. And for this one, I'll just drop this underneath for right now. Okay. All right. Okay, next project. Unless there's something else I need to do right now immediately, the next project is going to be dismantling Vega once again, because I need to. Let me follow up on some of the questions here that are being sent to me by our moderators. Spirit of Nux says, any plans to review the EKWB M2 heatsink like you did the MSI heat shield? Not right now. I said this in one of the or in the news video. The trouble with cooling SSDs is that you really need to ideally not cool the flash and then cool the controller. So the flash actually doesn't mind being warm. In fact, it's technically better for endurance. I'm not sure how much better. I don't know if it's appreciable by the user, especially in a non-data center environment. But you're really not supposed to cool the flash with like liquid or something, because it's just not ideal for it. Now, I'm avoiding words like saying not good for it, because even though it's not ideal, I'm not enough of an expert in it. I don't know if getting the flash 10 degrees cooler removes any appreciable amount of life from the flash, any endurance, or if it's just totally irrelevant for people like us, as opposed to data center or enterprise or something like that. So it's really a tricky project to do. Oh wow, 50 quid donation, thank you. Paul TP12 Cora, great vid, or get vid, keep it up. Thank you very much for that, much appreciated. And all the others as well. I think I answered the is the pump loud question. The answer is, it sounds louder probably to you than it actually is. It's not bad. The power supply is kind of loud though. Yeah, so I don't know about the the M2 block. We might start testing more of those. Steve Strezzer, what do you got for me? So a few people asking if they include a ball valve for draining in the kit. I'm actually not sure about that. Actually, the next page has the draining steps, I think. Draining the loop. So let's see what they say. If you wanted to drain the loop, they say unscrew the 4M4 nuts securing the EK pump bracket. So that would just be removing the pump and reservoir combo. And then step 2, unscrew the fittings. So those are the ones that were already on there when we started the stream. I pointed those out. Pull the tube off, let the coolant flow into the container. So I don't think it has what you're asking about, but I'm not positive. All right, a lot of suggestions to cycle the pump speed to knock out the bubbles. Okay, so do I have a good way to do that right now? I need a fan controller to do that. What did EK give us in their kit for this? The Jedi Bra approves. Thank you, Jedi Bra. Much appreciated. Speaking of, we've got Noctua fans on the way for testing their China versus Taiwan origin fans. I don't suspect we'll see a difference thermally or acoustically, but it's possible, so we're going to test them. I'm in communications with Noctua. There is no ball valve, guys, someone says, so that answers that question. So I'm in talks with Noctua, and we'll know more soon. And hopefully have a large sample size to work with from both them and from stuff I'm buying myself. Some readers are sending stuff in, so that'll be a fun test, but that starts next week. I need to get all that stuff in first. Here's the rest of the hardware. Let me get this so that you guys can actually see in the box. Okay. Next super chat. Green Ohm, thank you for the donation, much appreciated. Okay, so this is the rest of the stuff they include. So back plates, things like that for mounting to the board. We don't need any of that today. This is just a 4-pin cable, bridge cable, and then a SATA power for the pump, which we're already doing with Molex with a kit that I have separately. So I would need to hook up a fan controller to cycle the pump speed, I think. But okay, we're gonna leave that alone for a bit. Unless something major goes wrong with it, I'm just gonna let it sit. It'll take a while to figure out if it's actually leaking or not from what I've read and from what everyone's saying. Anyway, for Xeon to give a comprehensive fan, no, come back. Fan or air cooler, oh, it's gone. It's gone, I'm sorry. Chat buried that question. It'll never be found again. If the question was about fan and cooler test, or cooler and case testing, we do that. If the question's about fan testing, I'm not sure. I don't think we're getting too deep into that territory right now today. It is something that I'm looking at. We're doing it for Noctua as a one-off. If it goes well, if we have a methodology we're happy with, we'll learn some stuff along the way. You know, the first time you do a major test like the Noctua feature piece we're doing, hopefully you find a lot of flaws along the way so you can improve your test for publication. And then hopefully too, you find things where you're like, you know, this is kind of inadequate. We can do better than this, and develop it as you go. So I try to start small scale with one test and go from there. Just power cycle the whole system to cycle the pump. Okay, well that's easy. Let's just do that. Again, this power supply takes a second, about 10 seconds to turn off completely. So I gotta let it stop spinning. Okay. All right, so we've cycled. I don't see a lot of air bubbles going through. Okay, cycle again. We've cycled again. Yeah, there's some air bubbles. Okay, cool, it's working. All right, like I said, gonna leave that alone. Love your videos. Greetings from Canada. Thank you, Andrew. Much appreciated. Okay, so next thing we have to do. This is gonna sit here in the background and look pretty while I once again dismantle Vega. This is a pretty quick process now, done enough times. If you're wondering what these are thermocouples coming out of there that we use for thermal testing. And next we need to just pull I need to reclaim some stuff from the board, take it apart again, and then we'll move on to the next card. This one's pretty quick. So if you did not, is this the right size? If you did not see our Vega teardown, you're about to see a very quick version of it. But it's basically a couple screws in the back. These are a Torque 6. Torque 6, these are the large ones. If the Jedi approves, 666 Gene also approves. Thank you. 666 Gene from the Patreon Discord chat. If you're not familiar with the Patreon Discord chat, you can support us at patreon.com/gamersnexus, which will give you access to our Discord, where I hang out with people in there on and off throughout the day. And it's a pretty good time. Good way to get some ideas from the community. So for example, that undervoltage Vega testing, a lot of that, I was talking with Street Guru in there for a little while, who gave me some of the ideas for that testing, and we developed on it, put together a pretty cool content piece. And then we're doing the same for another feature test we have going on right now. So we can bounce questions off a sort of a focus group community and get a better idea for what people are interested in seeing in a form that is more controlled than YouTube comments, which are just impossible to keep up with because there's so many of them. Content very detailed. Keep up high quality content coming. Thank you. I appreciate that. And thank you, Strezabyte, for posting the link in chat. Strezabyte's helping us out as a moderator today. Everyone say hi to Strezabyte in chat. Okay, so oh yes, I haven't done this in 2 days, so I've already forgotten things. Once you get the back plate off, you reveal the Phillips screws underneath. Pretty simple process at this point. All right, if we can not do that, that'd be great. Let's get a better head on there. Okay. Okay, one. All right, so we are dismantling Vega once again to reclaim some stuff from it. And when I say reclaim, I mean basically take back my thermocouples so I can put them on other things, or really just to get them out of there, because I want this card to be restored to stock. we are keeping this card. A couple of people asked, you know, it's expensive. It's a $1,000 video card. I don't, yeah, thinking about it. Are you going to return it? The original plan was maybe to resell it or something like that, but you know, as we got into it and really started digging into the thing, realized we can make return on this. We can make return on the $1,000. It'll at least equalize itself and come out net zero, if not profit. And so we can keep the card and use it for regression testing, and do some cool feature tests with it, like the voltage stuff. And it'll also allow us to test the card with once RX Vega comes out. You know, see, is there a meaningful difference between them? Do the drivers change anything? Stuff like that. The next project after this is going to be dismantling a 1080 Ti. So those of you just tuning in, this stream is basically my laundry list of things that I have to do today. And we're just streaming a lot of them because it's really no trouble to do so, and it's kind of fun. And honestly, chat was incredibly helpful setting up that open loop. First time I've done one of those. I'm really excited about learning more about that side of the PC world so that we can add some unique insights from testing. It'll take a little while to get there, but help from the community speeds things along. And that is the EK Fluid Gaming, is that it? What is the name of this thing? Fluid Gaming, EK Fluid Gaming, that's what we're working with. Any other questions in chat? Let me double check. I'm just putting a pause on this so I can check up on everyone. So one question, Luke asked, not the one from Linus Tech Tips, watched your R7 1700 vid, could you delegate streaming encoding to a second GPU in the same system? I have a Titan X Pascal, say if I had a 1060, could I chuck that in to improve performance? I'll get to that one second. Oh, and the question I missed earlier, O3Z, many anyway, said, for GN to give a comprehensive fan air cooling guide to PC cases. Funny you say that. We've been working on something like that, and we have actually done some things like that in the past. Every review we do for cases is kind of an optimization guide for that specific case, but we could certainly do more, yeah. Now back to the first question, streaming. So one thing we didn't talk about in that test was using something like NV encoder, or AMD's equivalent encoder, which the name escapes me, VCE, is that it? VCE, I think. So you could use one of those. NV encoder certainly would take the load off the GPU. You really improve things a lot in terms of solving for a CPU limitation, but one, you need a more powerful GPU to make sure you can keep up with it, and two, the wives' tale, so to speak, is that there's a quality degradation when you start streaming via GPU, encoding via GPU. And I actually have not tested that in an objective way yet. So I don't know what kind of quality loss there is. Certainly there's plenty of subjective discussion out there where people for sure hate GPU encoding, but it certainly helps out when necessary. Now, one thing, you know, in the video, I wished I had spoken about this more. I talked about it in the article, but not in the video. And so the thing is, with streaming, so one thing we can add is you could do a separate box. So you could actually do an external capture box. And the reason those are useful that we didn't discuss in the video, because just, I mean, it didn't really occur to me until after, and I started writing the article, hence the articles are always great to have, because they normally have some post film and editing insight where I realize something. So the R7 and the i7 both had one issue, and that was with the frame time consistency. So the even the R7, which by all accounts did great overall, even the R7 was lower in its 0.1% FPS, we call it, which is really just a recalculated frame time into an FPS number that more people generally understand. But if you look at a frame time graph, it kind of spikes like that. And the problem with frame times being variable like that is that once you kind of get out of the 8 millisecond difference range, frame to frame, the user starts noticing. There might be stuttering, It might be just like a freeze if it's really bad, which we didn't see in those benchmarks for the most part. But if you did an external capture box, and this is what I didn't talk about, you solve for that and you keep your frame time consistency because you're not hammering the GPU or the CPU with encoding on the gaming system. So if you're a professional streamer who does that kind of thing for money daily, and maybe you're competitive, CSGO or something, then an external box isn't a bad idea because your frame time consistency will be untouched by the streaming solution. But that was just something I wanted to mention because we only really got to talk about it in the article. Any dropped frames here are happening on the computer side. The stream is very even. Okay, great to hear. Okay, so let's, what was I even doing here? Let's finish this. It's kind of hard to do when you're splitting your attention. I haven't needed to do that. All right, so all the screws, we got all the screws. Let's pull this electrical tape off. We don't need that on there anymore. That was for the liquid cooling project. Got all those. Let's get the ones out of the expansion area. I don't like this screwdriver. This thing's annoying. Yes, it is pretty warm. It's probably like 76 or 7 in here right now. Air conditioning's not working very well. And we're in North Carolina where lately it's been in the upper 90s or a heat index of over 100 on some of the days. So it is quite warm, and I've got 2,000 LEDs pointed at my face. That is the answer to those questions. I need a smaller one for those. All right. Okay, so we're about to reclaim these thermocouples. I'll have to reassemble the thing, and then we'll move on. And that'll pretty much wrap up all the stuff on my to-do list today in terms of assembly, disassembly. This is always a bit faster if you don't have to show the camera what you're doing, but it's more fun this way. I'll check chat again in a second. I just finished this. So we've got Andrew Coleman on the camera. He can't see what you're saying in chat because he's busy, but show your appreciation. How are we doing over there? You need a break? Getting a thumbs up. iFixit giveaway when? I don't know. We did run ads with them for a while. I think the coupon code's expired now, though, unfortunately. Okay. Can your cameraman talk? He is not mic'd. Okay. All right, so I've got this. You've all seen this at this point. Let's, I'm gonna borrow this from the leak testing area, clean this thing off. You sure that was a thumbs up? Good job, Andrew, they say. Yeah, so, you know, we thought it would be fun to do live streams with a live camera rather than a fixed camera and like seated or something. Get all this crap off of here. And it definitely is. It takes a bit more logistical work, but it is pretty fun. And it makes us way more mobile, so we can do cool stuff like this, and you can actually see everything that's going on. Okay, that's good enough for now. I don't need this to be perfect this instant. Anyone need some thermal paste? That's probably still usable. And if Patrick is in chat, he's been running some feature tests that we're going to publish, working in one of the other rooms. As he knows and will attest to, you don't work a day here without getting thermal paste on your hands. Just like an auto shop, except instead of grease, it is thermal paste. Thermal grease, I suppose. All right, let me reclaim this one. Steve, have you let me catch that question. That looks like a good one. Have you guys been using, what have you guys been using for thermal paste during testing? So we do actually use the same thermal paste for all the thermal tests, comparative. I do some out-of-box tests with the stock paste and keep an eye on it when I replace it, just to make sure that they haven't used something truly garbage. But the stuff we use, can you lock the camera for a second and grab me like the 2 thermal paste tubs? I'll show you guys what we use. Give us 1 second. We've shown it before, but okay, so we've reclaimed these. All right, cool. Thank you. Okay, so this is a tub of thermal paste. We have 2 of these. So what we use is was something actually done with the EK loop already. Yeah, we basically built it. It was the first open loop build I've done. It is currently leak testing. So there you go. That's about half a pound of thermal paste. We've got 2 of them. We use the same stuff for every test, all the coolers, all the GPUs, and it helps make sure there's consistency in results. We just fill syringes with them, and fill probably 1 a day and go through a whole bunch of thermal paste every day. Thanks to Acetec for supplying that. That actually comes from their factory. It's pretty good stuff, which is why I use it. But I don't think you can buy it separately, so it's unfortunate, but there's plenty of good thermal paste out there. I'll check questions in a second. Let me get the rest of this off. Okay, all right. This is non-conductive tape, basically. Okay, is that good? Yes, this is all good. Okay. All right. Okay, so now that we've got that in a state of some kind, let me catch up with everyone. Is it non-conductive? Yes, it is non-conductive. How much thermal paste is required for Threadripper? I have no idea. That's a great question. Threadripper, we don't know. There's a lot of questions about Threadripper because you can, theoretically, you would be able to cool the thing just fine as long as the cold plate is still contacting the area above the die on the IHS. You don't have to get full IHS contact everywhere, in theory. Now, I also think performance is probably improved by contacting the whole IHS, but technically you'll really only need it right where the die is. And so you're gonna see a lot of manufacturers take existing cold plates that are suitable for X99, X299, and just stick them on to Threadripper because it'll still cover the die area. So I'm really curious to see how much does that impact performance if you cover the entire IHS versus not. Next question is, I've got one sent to me by Patrick. Says, Syntaxify says, please do some custom cooling mods using different rated tech modules. Most other videos out there are amateur hour and don't cover proper testing or temps on GPUs and CPUs. I'll look into it. If anyone wants to follow, or if Syntaxify, if you want to follow up with me on that or anyone else, send a tweet at Gamers Nexus with some more information or a way I can get in contact with you and we'll look into it. But I will warn you right now, we're basically backed up for like 2 weeks at least because we know Threadripper's launching, we know, let me cover this. We know RX Vega's launching, so it's going to be nothing but those 2 things for at least a few weeks. So it will be a while, but I do keep a list of like basically cool ideas for when we have a week of downtime. How much thermal paste is required? Oh, I answered that one. Let's see what Strezabyte says. Anyway, for Xeon, oh yeah, we got that one too. Okay, cool. We are on top of things right now. And then Nop Iwa sent a super chat. Thank you for that one. Okay, all right. Okay, let's close this thing back up. I don't have any thermal paste. Oh wait, yes I do. I do have thermal paste. I am going to get rid of this non-conductive tape. Let's clean this a little bit more. It does not need to be perfect. Okay, not bad. And we're gonna restore this thing. Let me grab a thermal paste syringe. Give me about 10 seconds. I guess I'm mic'd wirelessly, so. Oh, you know what? I got something cool I can show off too. Okay, so we had a thing where we needed thermal pads recently for that Zotac card, and I found you can just, I wish you could buy a bigger sheet than this, but this is what is this, a 250 by 250 millimeter sheet? It's just a huge thermal pad, basically, Arctic thermal pad. This one I think is, does it say on here? This one might be 0.5 millimeters, I'm actually not sure. But yeah, I have some pads I want to do some testing on too. There's infinite testing that can be done. It's just a matter of what real obligations do you have, what stuff do you really have to review, like this EK thing I've been sitting on. I need to review that. The only reason it takes a while is because I hadn't done an open loop before. So again, thank you to chat for helping out. And the plan is, even though I haven't done open loops before, I do want to test it versus all of the, you see this? I do want to test it versus all of the CLCs we have. We can do a good job testing that, I think, and test the different fan, like the same fan on different coolers, and see when does it matter, when is it better, what's the performance noise normalized at 40 dBA, what's the performance noise normalized 40 dBA if we swap fans around, stuff like that. Behind the scenes, something that must be done sometimes several times a day. That should be enough for today. Okay. I'm going to repaste this Vega card. Oh, you know, before I do that, I should clean this as well. Repaste it, that way people can argue in chat about how much paste is enough or not enough, like always. I have a theory about that. I think people in comments and chat and things tend to argue more about the stuff that they have some hands-on with. So people have applied thermal paste and everyone's got their own way of doing it, even though ultimately it doesn't matter all that much as long as you're reasonable. GPUs do take a bit more though than CPUs, just because it doesn't have an IHS and you really want to make sure you cover everything. If you have anything that's not covered on the silicon, you're going to have a bad time when stuff starts burning out. Camera's not shaking, it's the table. That's good enough. Okay, all right. That's what we go for here. Okay. This is non-conductive. I saw another person ask that a bit ago. Actually, where'd that thing go? Little leakage. Okay. Okay, all right. That seems suitable. What's everyone saying? I love how he hides it. Yeah, well, I mean, I already know what the comments are going to be. Whether or not I do exactly enough. So why would I encourage them? It's like training a dog. That's what you all are doing. You're training us what things can and can't be shown. Okay, we're most of the way there. When are we going to see the NDXT Puck XL and XXL? Bro, do you lift? I noticed you have calluses. I do not lift. There's videos on the channel GN Steve. I'll plug our side channel that we just launched. GN Steve has some of my downhill biking videos from Snowshoe and other mountains. I'll be going to Whistler later this year. Upload some stuff there. So no lifting, but there is downhill biking. Puck XL and XXL. You know, I don't know that I want boxes that are 4 times the size showing up with pucks. Does anyone, have you guys, does everyone know the story of these? Do we, these right here, the NZXT pucks. How did that start? Oh, the S340 Elite review. The S340 Elite review, I liked the case overall. It had some things I talked about, thermals and stuff like that. Thermal, like most cases that are of that kind of build. And yeah, it's Vega FE. So I said about the puck that NZXT was very proud of it, which they were. This is the puck. And I called it a piece of rubber and plastic or something like that, I think. So oh yeah, let's puck. That's their Valentine's card they sent us too. So they've got a good sense of humor about it, since I was actually critical of the puck. It's not bad. It's just like, I was basically like, why would you brag about this? You have so many other cool things on the case to talk about. Why are you wasting marketing space on this thing? But alas, they showed me, because we just spent 2 minutes talking about the puck. No ESD. This mat is ESD. I normally wear an ESD wrist strap. I'm grounded, it's fine. Don't worry about it. I don't know if this is the right screw or not. Nope, that's not the right screw. These take the shorter screws. Just kind of get that fan situated. Okay. NZXT with their passive aggressiveness. It's fun to play along. Nothing wrong with that. I much prefer that approach to criticism than like shutting down and just not working with the reviewer anymore because they criticize one aspect of your product. Where's that smaller screw? I picked up the same one twice because I'm talking while doing this. This is a smaller screw. This is a smaller screw. That's a smaller screw. That is not. Okay. Yeah, normally I sort these, but kind of haphazard with chat going. Okay, ESD is for wussies. Yeah, honestly though, like, seriously, we do wear like grounding straps for stuff. It's connected to this table, and then we have these blue mats are anti-static mats, so I do take it pretty seriously. Where is the where's the last screw? Should have sorted these. Is this it? That looks like it. $18 spare parts when he's done with this. All right, so we just, at this point, let's screw in the base plate. This is all Phillips screws from here, and then we'll be running into some of the Torx 6 and 5 in a moment. Actually, I need to line this up with the back plate. Line this up with the back plate. All right, so we need to put a screw in there. Put a screw over here. All I'm doing is adding screws where there aren't spaces in the back plate. So like, hang on, let me show you. So back plate, pretty easy. These are the Torx 6, and then everything else that's not one of those is a Phillips screw. So another one of those will be right here. And then right here. Okay. What's the project? Thermal paste replacement. The project is reclaiming thermocouples. We already did the EK loop. It was the first open loop I've done. Chat helped out with it. It is currently leak testing. Now we just finished reclaiming thermocouples for another test, and I'm just reassembling the Vega card so that we can go back to using it for normal testing and RX Vega competitive testing once that's a thing. Oh no, that one doesn't get a screw. This one does. Matthew donates $1. Thank you very much for that. Well, it's reassembled. It isn't reassembled correctly unless you have spare parts left over. Well said, ZDG. Absolutely. Although this one will be reassembled correctly. As I look for screws. Last one, I think. It sounds like I'm getting Discord mess. Oh, you know what? Did I ever mute Discord on this? Has anyone complained? Where's that mixer? Volume mixer. Oh, it is muted. Okay, good. Didn't make the same mistake twice. Okay. Got all those. So we need that screw. Okay, all right, cool. Do this last. This, I mean, hopefully this kind of shows you in an unedited format, like how easy it is to dismantle a video card. For anyone who hasn't done this before, you obviously at your own risk, all that stuff. Try to ground or use anti-static surfaces, or if not those, use surfaces that don't insulate very much. For example, a hard table or something as opposed to like a carpet, where you get insulation and static discharge. Oh wait, did I plug in the fan? No, I didn't. Let's do that first. Having trouble with cables today. All right, cable. This one sucks to reconnect. It's just not very long. These LED cables. The LED cables, they're never long enough, and they're never worth it. All right, there we go. Okay. Oh, we need to also, where's that screw? We need a Phillips screw over here. And that's gonna connect, where's my my plate? Okay, so that's gonna connect to the plate. Okay. Alright, and then have I gotten all this stuff for the most part? Yes, okay. Alright. I hate those cables that are just slightly too short. Yeah, I know. They drive me crazy. Alright, so now we need that TR head. Where's that TR head? TR5? TR5. iFixit's not an active sponsor with us right now, or an active advertiser, I should say. However, I do genuinely like this toolkit. That's why I'm using it, even though they're not like a sponsor or anything right now. This is not the right screw. Where's that screw? Also not the right screw. No. Okay, these backplate, back, there we go. Okay, I'll check chat in a moment. Give me 1 second. So current project, reassembling Vega after disassembling it to claim the reclaim the thermocouples I had on there. And previous project, EK water blocks, Fluid Gamer series assembly. One more thing I have to do, and then we're gonna be done for the most part. All right. Okay, so I will be checking chat in about a minute, which means if you start posting your questions now, it'll get to me when I'm ready to check. So if you have questions, now is a good time. Okay, Phillips, Torx, there we go. God damn it. Oh, it's not lined up. There we go. Okay. Gamers Nexus. Some guy said it's, what does that say? Bad to have the 1080 Strix overclocked to 2125. Who is some guy? Where does he come from? Some components get too hot for that. Is that right? GPU temp is 65. Well, the GPU temp isn't the only temperature. I don't remember what we had it overclocked to. But that, are you talking about the Strix ROG 1080 Ti? Because we tested that, and that's like one of the best cards on the market for in terms of like cooling and noise efficiency. So I'm not sure I agree. VRM components can take like 125C. Caps are like 105C, depending what kind of caps you're talking about. So it seems like it's probably a non-issue. Okay, let's do this one. All right, so almost to the end of this one. Always. Yeah. Any questions? I'm looking for questions. Performance difference between identical speed Xeons and ISO. I do have that Xeon thing in the title, don't I? Here's what I'm wondering. So we were playing around with a render machine, and it's not really cutting it for the 4K stuff. So I'm looking at doing something with a CPU maybe. The GPU is, in the video you'll see we actually try a multi-GPU setup, and it really doesn't do anything for Premiere. And it helps greatly with our other tasks. With Blender, really helped a lot, 2x increase in speed, but does not help with Premiere. Premiere likes threads, it's still capping out on the threads. So we're at a point where it's like, well, what do we do? Do we upgrade to some kind of Xeon, like an X79 compatible Xeon, and use that? Because there are X79 Xeons that have an extra 4 threads over what we have, which is a 4960X in that machine, and I would think it would probably help, even with the lower frequency. Let me check. My phone's going crazy, which means probably Discord. And sweaty from heat and lights. Tap around the sides of the radiator every 15 minutes. Okay, let's do that. We haven't paid attention to that for a little while. Tap around it, is that all it takes? Just like looking for a hollow spot in the wall? Looking for the studs in the wall? Cycle the power again too. Okay. I'm about to just like pour this coolant on my head, I think. What games are you currently playing when you have the time, Steve? I don't know the last time I played games. Like, I mean, I do, but like in a serious way, like it used to be. This job, we did, I did 17 hours the other day. Andrew did about 12 that day. So, you know, you're really just like grinding, trying to get content out, trying to do cool tests. Benchmarking is kind of playing games, but not really in a way that you would want to for fun. So I was playing City Skylines most recently. I really like that game. I like city builders a lot. RTS was my home genre for a long time. So City Builders, RTS. I pretty much grew up on Age of Empires series on Red Alert, actually more than Age of Empires. And that genre's all but dead at this point. But I am actually looking, I am planning to properly play, this is TR6, anyone wondering, properly play StarCraft, whatever it is, the remake. You guys know what I'm talking about. I really want to play that. I played it semi-competitively ages ago, never in any serious fashion that was actually relevant to the scene. AoE 3 I was pretty competitive in. But StarCraft, original StarCraft, I mostly just liked the UMS stuff. Hydra D was pretty fun. Siege D. What was that one? Legends? Legacies? I want to say Legacies. That was a really cool RPG map that I liked a lot. Used to do like 40 hours of games a week, but not now. Would you say this is a better, cooler design than what was on the 480 reference? This one here, yes. The fan's actually pretty good on this. This is a Delta fan. It can pull 28 watts. It pulls it through the PCIe slot. And very powerful. It's a vapor chamber cooler. Yes, I would say it is better than the RX 480 reference cooler. What's the next question? Do I have another one? Next one is 280 rad, 7700K, 4.9 gigahertz, 1080 and nano in a Nano S, 70 Celsius CPU during 8 to 64. Should I be worried? No. 70 is fine. You have nothing to worry about. Check in stuff from Patrick now. Do you game in your free time or just benchmark all these components? I have no time left for doing so. Just answered that one from Tony. Some suggestions to flip the rad so that the air can't collect at the top. Okay, got it. I will do that. This is done. We have reclaimed the thermocouples. Mission accomplished. All right, any questions in chat? I'm checking. It should be bled plenty right now, Jominator is saying, and Jominator was the one who helped earlier. I'm going to go ahead and do it one more time just in case. So Jominator, anyone else in the chat, should I be opening the, you know what, let's just do that to let the air kind of, anything that's in there. I don't think this is actually a relevant thing to do, but we'll just open it for a second. We're still within EK's demands for how much liquid's in there. So they said, what did they say, 2 centimeters from the top? So I've got like thermal paste and debris from that card everywhere on me. So I think we're still within that spec. Damn it, you know what? It'd be nice if I could do this without cross-threading it. Okay, there we go. Okay. What do we have in chat? I want to play StarCraft Remastered. Yeah, I know, me too. When will you do a streaming PC only test with CPUs? Wait, what? When will we do a streaming only test? Are you asking about the one that like, we just published one. If you're new to the channel, we have one. I don't know if that's what you mean though. I saw another question. What was that? Is the Plat Max any good? Which is the PSU we're using right now. I don't really, we've been using it for a while as just like an extra power supply for the high wattage tests, and it seems fine. It's platinum rated. Johnny Guru might have a review of that one. So suggestion, what was the suggestion? Flip the rad? We kind of already did this, I think, but let's just do it anyway. It looks like it's bled pretty well. I think we're really just leak testing at this point. I can flip the rad again in a bit. The tubing's not really gonna permit me to easily flip it and mount it I could if I had more hands and didn't have to show stuff off, but all right. We'll worry about that later. But yeah, I think we're in leak testing phase. So far, no leaks, but it needs to run for quite a while. Okay, all right. Any other questions? 80 worries me. I'm guessing that's about temperature, right? Patrick linked a Johnny Guru review of the power supply. Thank you, Patrick. If anyone's curious about it, you can see that there. Someone get this man a fan. Yes, I know it is hot in here. I'm sorry. It's like it was like a 100-something heat index earlier. So okay. Last thing. Do you want to take like a minute break before we do this one? You okay on the camera? Yeah, is that yes, I want a break, or yes, I'm okay?
I'm okay.
Okay, all right. I'm reading some questions. Keep tapping lightly on that radiator. Watch for air through the tubes. Yeah, I think we're pretty good on that right now. Pulsing radiator and BIOS, good way to make the air escape. Okay, noted. Just pull the hair up, my dude. Yeah. Install case fan on your head. Yeah, one of the things we saw, some behind the scenes stuff for you. I think I was with Andrew, the guy on the camera right now. We were in the iBuyPower facility. It's a pretty cool warehouse. They do all the assembly and stuff in there. And hang on a sec, let me do this better than last time. Okay. Current project is to take this thing apart. It doesn't need to be reassembled. I have it for something I'm working on. Okay, all this, they're all crap goes over here. Yeah, so iBuyPower facility. Pretty cool place. Most of those are. They do assembly on site. CyberPower does as well. But it was really hot in there. It's in California. And so a couple of the guys there, their solution was strap a bunch of case fans together, like 120 mils, and plug them into a power supply, and then just point them at themselves, which certainly seems like it would work. All we're doing is dismantling a 1080 Ti. If you don't know the process here, it's also not difficult, but it is a pain. These screws, when you put them back in, you absolutely do not torque them beyond like one click of being tight, because they'll snap, and I've done it. There are a ton of like weird shapes and sizes, screws holding these NVIDIA reference cards together. They definitely not easy to get into. But we fortunately don't have to take the cooler apart. I just have to get the cooler off. Okay. Trying to keep an eye on chat while doing this. How far had you overclocked the 1080 Ti Armor on water? I don't remember. I'd have to check. Is this the Xeon or the i7? Yeah, I'll check the questions that moderator sent me in a moment. I'm not sure. It should basically, it's a Gaming X, so it'll overclock to where a Gaming X does. You're more likely to run it, well, you're definitely going to run into a thermal problem with it. If you put it on water, though, which is what I think you said you would do, then you eliminate that. So you actually end up with, you know, one of the worst coolers on the market for a 1080 Ti, air coolers, but one of the, well, not best, but certainly a very good PCB for $700. So if you're willing to strip that crappy cooler off of there and put it under liquid, it's actually a really good build choice. Oops, let me get a better screwdriver. As far as overclocking, it's basically a Gaming X. So wherever Gaming X overclocks, where's that screwdriver I had? That's what you're going to find for the armor. Okay, oops. And overclocking, you're more likely to run into thermal problems. So Pascal responds really well to reductions in temperature. It responds, well, I mean, that's really the main thing, I guess, Pascal, isn't it? Okay, next step is these things. We're going to wrap this card shortly, I think. Checking the questions that were sent to me. What keyboard do you use for your personal computer? I'm currently using a G-Skill mechanical keyboard of some kind. I just kind of switched them out based on what I'm playing with, trying to test, maybe review. Abigail Partridge, you going to do any reviews of any of the AM4 mini ITX boards? That's probably what I'll end up building a gaming PC around. I don't have any lined up right now. I'm really interested in them, but I do not have any lined up today. Nasal Eye, what keyboard do you use? Got that one. N1 Mall, do you think Threadripper will have similar gaming performance as R7 1700 or 1800 for a workstation build that can handle games as well? I am not even going to begin to speculate. Just wait for the reviews. Let me get the, yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna bother speculating because it'll be based on nothing and kind of be pointless. You're not gonna get any value out of me that you couldn't kind of speculate on your own. Couple more screws, by which I mean like a dozen. Thank you for the design, NVIDIA. Okay, there we go. What size is this? This is a 4mm. 4mm hex driver. Anyone remember that teardown where one of these got stuck in the screwdriver? That was fun. That screw is still in there. Okay. Yeah, so we've got some cool tests coming up. Working on the EK stuff, clearly. Learning curve there, but working on it. Working on some feature tests that I'm not going to expose what those are right now, but they don't involve new products. They involve existing products. I sent out some tweets that should give you an idea of what those are. You go to twitter.com/gamersnexus. I actually tweeted out a poll for 144 Hz gaming. Anyone who does that, you're welcome to answer that poll and help us decide how we're testing some stuff. But I'm not going to talk about exactly what the test is. What else do we have? Everyone knows Threadripper and RX Vega are coming out. That is not a secret. So we're keeping an eye on those. I've been working on a lot of power testing. We just got that clamp in, that current clamp. So really a lot of fun with the video cards, testing for power leakage, stuff like that. I really need to test all of the CPUs again for their power consumption, so we can build a proper power consumption chart for the reviews and get back into more thermals versus power tests. Lunchbox, whose reference cooler is better at the moment, NVIDIA's or AMD FE? Let's talk, let's pick a cooler. Let's pick the Titan XP. We tested that. It depends on what you mean by better, and I would have to look at my own results to really give you an answer. The final page in the Vega FE review has a lot of thermal and noise tests, because I knew those were the least likely to change from drivers or something. I can't see what I'm doing if I'm showing the camera. So you might want to check that. Thermally, NVIDIA did better in one of the tests. It did better over time from memory in spec view perf and AMD did better in some of the other stuff, depending on what kind of load you were putting it through. Either one, though. Well, once you noise normalize at like 40 dBA, they both suck and they're both awful. If you put them to 50, they do a bit better. I think... I want to say AMD's did better under auto settings when they were noise normalized, but it wasn't like wasn't an achievement to be proud of. It just, that was the objective truth. It still just wasn't good though at 40 dBA. And the Vega cooler, as we talk about in the undervolting thing, you can get it to cool, you can get it to sustain 1600 megahertz, but you have to do the latter, you have to offset the power 50%, and then ideally you undervolt so that you're not drawing so many watts. You can draw like 80 fewer watts by undervolting it and offsetting the power, so you end up 15 watts more than stock with a sustained 1600 megahertz clock rather than what it does normally, which is bounce between DPM states 6 and 7, or 5, 6, and 7, 1440, 1528, and 1600 megahertz from memory. You can fix that with a power offset. Then you have a power consumption problem. You fix that with a voltage offset. You fix your thermal problem by getting a different cooler or by setting it to a manual curve, because the auto curve is pretty aggressive. What did I have to do again? Take this off? I think that's what I'm doing. Current project is just taking a cooler off, and that's it. And we're basically done right now. All right, nothing new there. 1080 Ti reference cooler. Okay, catching up on chat for a second, and then we're gonna wrap it up in a moment. Stephen Coe, congrats on the second stream. I have to say, nailed the production value, totally forgot it was a stream. The camera is a lovely touch, thank you. It's a lot of fun, I really do like doing it that way. Now obviously, we have no good solution for dealing with sweat in the middle of a stream because it's 76 in here, I think. Where's that thermocouple reader? I can actually tell you right now with great accuracy. Okay, someone do a conversion for me. 26, what is it right here where I'm standing? Air temp is like roughly 26C, 26.5, 26. Someone, what's 26C? Go to F. I can work in C, I can work in F. I can't work between them. 78, Jesus. Okay, that's what temperature it is. Gamer's Nexus, does this driver that you're using and the bits come with the kit? Which kit is it specifically? Seems pretty indispensable. Like I said, iFixit is not currently an advertiser. That does not mean that I won't say their product is good though, because it is. So this one is the ProTech Toolkit. I think it's $70. They have a smaller kit that's cheaper. The PC Essentials kit, which we advertised for them for a bit, that one I've used. I much prefer this one to that one. Price difference is pretty big though. We also have a 128-bit kit, so it's like 128 bits, not like color bit. And that one is expensive. I think it's $100. I like that one as well, but it's not as portable. This is definitely my favorite one I use. Yeah, 78.8, yeah. Okay, all right guys, so I think I'm pretty much done here with the projects. I'm gonna hang out for a minute and see if I can get any questions that I haven't gotten, and I'll just keep an eye on chat for a couple minutes here while we close out the stream. So please post stuff in chat. I'll try and keep an eye on it. The moderators will send me stuff. But yeah, 1080 Ti right here. Nothing new, nothing special. I just need to remove it. And then there's the PCB. So cool stuff. Cool stuff that you've likely seen. Okay, I just hit the keyboard. All right. Oh, thank you. Strezabyte, link to the kit in chat for anyone who cares. We used to have a code. I don't think it's still active. You're certainly welcome to try it. Gamers Nexus, it used to do a $5 off thing. Certainly welcome to try it. I don't think it works anymore though. I think they expire those after the ad campaign's over. I'm glad I watched this rather than the WAN show. Thank you. How strong are the bits in the toolkits? I don't have a numerical measurement I can give you. I haven't damaged any, I haven't broken any on PC components. Maybe if you worked on something a bit more aggressive or stronger metal than a PC component, but these metals are harder than most of the components you're going to be working with. Yes, so Streza, as a reminder, support the channel, drop a super chat, contribute on Patreon. You go to patreon.com/gamersnexus to help us out directly. That will give you access to the Discord where I hang out most of the day. So if I don't catch your question today here, ping me on Discord, I'll get it there. Just do an @Steve and I'll see it when I sort through those at the end of the day. Get a shirt, gamersnexus.squarespace.com. Yes, these are brand new. So as I said at the beginning of the stream, does not come with cat hair. Cat must be purchased separately, but this is a new design. It is an explosion layout that Andrew actually made in Blender. So it's a 3D model, and then we turn it into a shirt, and it's got like MOSFETs and phases, and I haven't had Buildzoid analyze it, but I mean, I probably wouldn't take it to like a PCB printer and try to have one made, but it's still cool. It's got the PCIe slots and stuff. All right, let me get to the questions now. Questions, so the code is not active, I'm told, for iFixit. Sorry about that. We might run another ad with them. Stay tuned. Can you make about the Intel Core i3 7th generation, 1st to 8th gen? And also do, I'm not sure I understand the question. Could you live stream putting the water block on that and putting it into the loop? Oh, for video cards. We could probably do that. I'm not doing a GPU water block today, but I do want to do them. I really want to test this thing standalone first as just like a very straightforward 240 rad versus 240 rad open and close type of thing. Based on your findings with Vega Frontier Edition, do you think that even if the RX Vega cards have the same performance as a 1080, the noise level will be higher with AIB cards? AIB, once you start adding AIB partner coolers to these things, they're really all pretty close to the same. Now, depends on what you do. So like if you're trying to normalize for 40 dBA, trying to think if there's one that's done it poorly yet. There's certainly coolers that do it better. The Asus one did it better than its competition. The Twin Frozer did it pretty well. I think the Armor did a noise normalized test poorly. But generally speaking, once you're in AIB partner territory, they are pretty comparable. Now, RX Vega presumably would be a bit higher power consumption than the 1080. I think it's pretty fair to say we know that. We just don't know exactly how much. So it will run warmer because it's pulling more watts through the GPU core. But we really need to wait and see how much that matters. Will there be a female cut version of the new shirt in gray? We can look into that. I have some female shirts on the site with the GN Graph logo, but they are not the V cut. They're just like a female shirt. So I think it's just like a size down, basically, more or less from men's shirts. But we can look into that if there's more demand. I have to do these print runs in like 24 units plus. So check out Mental Omega Red Alert 2 mod for some great nostalgic fun. That sounds good. I'll at least look up videos of it. Do you plan on selling the NZXT Puck Gamers Nexus shirt? This one? That's got a hair hanging off of it? Not right now. I'll talk to them about it. I don't know. Probably not. Let's see, a couple more Q&As before we head out. How important is it to pair a Ryzen CPU with an AMD card, and how important is it to have 8 gigabytes versus 6 gigabytes? First part of the question, it does not really, well, okay, people are going to yell at me if I say that exactly the way I was going to. Generally speaking, it doesn't matter what video card you pair with the CPU. I know there were some findings early on with Ryzen with, was it DirectX 12 specifically or something? I know there were some findings, but depending on like what CPU you're looking at, you just kind of buy the card that fits in the price class and does what you want. There's no, generally speaking, no better together thing, unless they go back to dual graphics or something like that. You kind of pick the parts that, it's not like NVIDIA is not going to work on AMD. In fact, NVIDIA is promoting AMD CPUs on their website and their new build boxes because the more Threadripper stuff that moves, the more 1080 Ti's they'll move. Or the more Titan XPs they'll move because it's a high-end part going with the high-end CPU. So they do actually not really compete with Ryzen in that way. Are you going to send NZXT something back? Maybe we will. Are there any Other questions I need to hit today. Buy used or buy new? That's an interesting one. Yeah, this feeds into one thing that I was talking about earlier. So Xeon versus i7, that's in the title. Xeon versus i7 came up because, again, we're looking at the render machine with 4K, taking an hour to render stuff. And if it's going to take an hour to render a video that's 15, 20 minutes long, we need a new solution. GPU acceleration helps a lot, but it's acceleration. It's not GPU rendering. And as we found out in the video that's yet to go live, the multi-GPU setup we tried doesn't actually do anything for us. So we need to move the 1080 Ti into the top slot, take the Titan XM down a notch for Blender, but 1080 Ti for Adobe, and then you're left with the real choke point, which is the CPU. The 4960X, is that what it's called? 4960X, we have it overclocked to 4 point something gigahertz, 4.6, I don't know. We have it overclocked. That's the bottleneck. We don't have enough threads. I'm considering using a Xeon part from the same generation, X79, because I'd like to use that and not have to reinstall the OS and not have to get a new motherboard. And that would give us 4 more threads at a much lower clock rate. I think they go up to 3.8, 3.7. So the 4 extra threads should matter a whole lot more than the clock for Adobe Premiere. So this feeds into the question that I started with, which is old versus new. Looking at the prices of those Xeons from 2011 or 2012, the prices of those are like 200 bucks. They're really good prices. You probably wouldn't want to game on something that's frequency intensive, but for a workstation box, that's a crazy good price for something that was once $2,000. And yes, it is far outclassed by modern hardware, but depending on what you're doing, especially if you're going to build a dual Xeon box, I don't know if Adobe actually works with those, I have to look into it. But depending on what you're doing, it's potentially a really good solution for cheap. And I haven't really tested any of it, but I don't know, it's new versus used. I guess you're looking at what component is it. I probably wouldn't buy, like, used CPUs are kind of safe. Used memory should be pretty safe. Memory doesn't even get overclocked anymore today, so it's not going to be damaged. Used SSDs I wouldn't buy. Used hard drives I wouldn't buy. Used liquid coolers I probably wouldn't recommend, because the closed loop coolers have a lifespan too, and if the owner put it through hell, it's going to wear out a whole lot faster. CPUs are kind of fine though. GPUs I'm not sure about. I don't know. What do you guys think? Used GPUs, yes or no right now? Because the market should be great once the mining thing continues to crash a bit more or stabilize or correct itself or whatever. GPU market should look good secondhand, but do you want something that was used the way those cards are? All right, so I'll keep an eye out for those questions, but let's close this out. Thank you for all of you who helped out through Super Chat directly. That is a huge support, because, I mean, the streams are new to us. It takes 2 people to do it the way we're doing right now, plus Patrick in the other room looking at chat. Strezabyte, thank you for helping moderate. But yeah, Super Chat's a big help. The Patreon support's a big help. We got a bunch of yeses coming in. Used GPU, yes. People say they would like to buy used GPUs. So very interesting. I was curious about what the community thoughts were on that. So yeah, used GPUs look like a thing people do. Anyway, yeah, thanks all for watching. Discord link on your July 2nd Patreon post isn't working for me. I'm aware of that. We deactivated it. If you link your Patreon account to your Discord account, it should automatically let you join the server. If it doesn't work, message me on Patreon or post a comment somewhere on Patreon, and I'll PM you a one-time use link that'll let you join. So yeah, thank you all for watching. We'll have the usual edited, scheduled uploads for you all through next week. We're traveling a bit, so bear with us, but take it easy. Subscribe for more. I'll see you all next time.